Good morning, everyone, and you're very welcome to the Education in Ireland Fair. My name is Louisa Heenahan, and I work at the Embassy of Ireland here in South Africa. I'm going to run through this morning a brief presentation on visa issues, and just to give you a sense of the situation in Ireland currently and what the requirements are in terms of visas for study in Ireland. I'd also encourage anyone who has questions to put them in the chat, and hopefully if we have time at the end, we can run through some of those questions. Alternatively, please visit the Embassy of Ireland booth that will be open during the fair, and we can answer your questions there. So first of all, just to highlight that Ireland is currently reopening after a very hard lockdown, similar to many other countries. We successfully driven down COVID rates and are now among the lowest in Europe. We're also currently rolling out our vaccination campaign, and we're hoping to have 80% vaccination rates by the end of the summer. And our universities and colleges in particular are working really hard to make sure that the student experience is as smooth as possible and that you have all the information available to you for study in Ireland. So we're about 3 to 4 months from the start of the academic year in Ireland. So this is the time to start thinking about what the requirements are in terms of visa applications and travel. Quarantine on arrival is a prerequisite, and you can get further detail on this on the gov.ie website. And also the visa section at the Embassy of Ireland is available and will continue to prioritise long stay student visas for students who are travelling to Ireland. We're going through a phased easing of restrictions. So, currently we're looking at retail and those types of things opening up towards the end of May, and further easing of restrictions throughout the summer, so that the situation will look quite different come August, September, when students will be due to start their academic year in Ireland. As I said, just to give some further detail on the current quarantine requirements. So if you are vaccinated and you arrive in Ireland with a European Medical Agency approved vaccine, you are exempt from mandatory hotel requirement. So this doesn't mean that you're exempt from quarantine overall. You'll still be required to quarantine in your accommodation, your designated residence, for a period of 14 days. If you do not have a European Medical Agency approved vaccine, then you'll be required to quarantine at a designated facility. So currently these are designated hotels in Ireland. This is the mandatory hotel quarantine system, and you'll be required to quarantine for this period, and there is a cost associated with that as well. When you arrive into Ireland from South Africa for the purpose of study, as I said, if you're vaccinated, you will arrive at the airport and you'll be required to fill in a passenger locator form where you indicate where you will be quarantining, and this you'll need to complete before travel. Also, you will be required to have a negative or a not detective COVID-19 test no more than 72 hours before you arrive in Ireland. And again, all of this detail is available on the gov.ie website. Visa requirements. So as a result of public health requirements now in Ireland, students coming to South Africa are required to have a visa. Under normal circumstances, students travelling from South Africa to Ireland do not require a visa. They would be required to arrive and then register as a student upon arrival in Ireland. But as a result of COVID-19, there are visa requirements in place, including for students coming from South Africa. But as I said, these are priority visas under current immigration rules, and the embassy can process these. So you'll be required to make
sorry to jump in there, but the slides are they're not. You're just still on the first slide. I don't know if you were scrolling through there.
Yes, I have been.
It's still on the first slide, so I'm not sure. Are you able to put that into a different view?
I'll try and stop sharing and share again.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try and do this again.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there we go. That's on the visa requirements page now. So yeah, if you try to flip to the next slide.
Okay, I'm moving through the slides. Is that visible?
It's not actually moving, no.
If I leave it like this, is it visible? Can you see visa requirements?
Yeah, so we can see that, yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, that's moving now. That's moving now.
Okay, I'll leave it like this. It's not optimal, but
No.
I'll go through this.
All right.
So in terms of the visa requirements, as I said, you will have to make an application for a visa for travel to Ireland. Currently, it takes 6 to 8 weeks for a visa to be processed. So if you're due to travel to Ireland this coming academic year, the strong recommendation is that you make that application as quickly as possible. And we do our absolute best to turn around the visa to meet the travel dates then. So just to run through the requirements, you need a signed letter of application, you need evidence that you're enrolled in a funded course at an institution in Ireland, evidence that your fees have been paid, evidence of your academic ability, your level of English, finances, and all of these will support your visa application. Long stay study visas are processed in Dublin, and the embassy has some delegated sanction to process the visas that are related to our scholarship programme. But for anyone who is going to an institution in Ireland on a privately funded basis, those are considered long stay study visas and are processed in Dublin. They can be accepted at the embassy but processed in Dublin, and this is why there's a 6 to 8 week period. So again, just to encourage everyone to do this in a timely manner. The cost of the application is 1,020 rand. Okay, just to share some important links, and again, I can put these into the chat afterwards for people to look through. And apologies, my presentation isn't working in present mode. So that's pretty much it in terms of your application for visas. I'm just going to take a quick look and see if we have any questions in the chat that I can respond to. Okay, we currently don't have any questions in the chat, so I'm just going to answer some potential questions that we get quite a lot. So in terms of, let's say you are a student from elsewhere in Southern Africa and you are currently living in South Africa and you're looking at study in Ireland, how do you apply for your visa? So the visa is made in the normal way. You make your application. You can submit this to the Embassy of Ireland, and again will be processed in Dublin. However, if you were doing it this way, you must provide evidence of your residency in South Africa, and also that you have permission to reside in South Africa. So your purpose of being there, whether it be for employment or study or whatever reason. Another question that we get quite regularly in terms of visas is in relation to family members accompanying on a student visa. So Study visas for Ireland do not allow family to accompany, so just so you're aware of that. Again, I've run through the costs, 1,020 Rand for a visa application. And then another question that we get quite a lot in terms of visas are around entitlements to work while on a study visa in Ireland. Yes, Ireland allows students to work for up to 20 hours a week, so on a part-time basis, while studying in Ireland. And it's one of the advantages, I suppose, again, of studying in Ireland is being able to do that, being able to work part-time to support your studies or gain a little bit of experience. So that's pretty much it in terms of our overview on applying for a visa and the visa requirements for study in Ireland. I don't see any additional questions in the chat, but I'm sure that as you go through the fair and the other seminars today, things might come to mind. So please do visit the Embassy of Ireland booth. And we have colleagues there, colleagues working in our consular section and also working on our embassy scholarships team. And we can answer any questions that you might have. So that's it from me and from the Embassy of Ireland for this presentation. Thank you very much for listening. I hope it was useful, and we look forward to engaging with you all on the chat throughout the day. Thank you very much, and best of luck in your studies.